Hello. Welcome to Happy Catastrophe Colors. That's Happy Catastrophe with a Y, because back in the day when I created that name, hard cider was a flowing and spelling was difficult. My name is Candace, or Sister Min Bao, because I am now an ordained Buddhist nun. And you can call me Sister or Candace, either one. I'll answer to anything. So this is the very first video of my very first YouTube channel, and I'm so excited to be here with you. I use coloring as a meditative hobby and for self-help with anxiety, and also as a way to build community. I watch all of your videos. I love them, and my favorite videos of yours is always the finished pages, isn't it all? So that is what I thought I'd start off with. But because I have a bit of I need to start at the beginning syndrome, I decided that even though it's March 1st, I would start with January's finished pages. And then throughout this week, I'll be posting, getting myself caught up to March with plans for March and the finished pages for February and some other surprises that I have coming. So January was a small color month. I set a goal for myself of 10 pictures a month. And I only did 4. And there were 2 reasons for that. 1, January was a bit busy recovering from the holidays and such. But 2, the biggest reason was I did something I'd never done with a very complicated picture, and out of one of Kirby's wonderful books, and it took all month. And you will see. But this video is going to be interesting, even though I only have 4 pictures that I did in February. I've got some interesting things to say about these books, and I also have many, many completed pictures in this one, which happens to be one of my favorite books. So we'll talk about that. The setup here, I live in a cabin, a log cabin in the Oregon wilderness. So what you're seeing here is light coming in from my vaulted ceiling, the windows up there that are very, very high, and where the spiders live safely because I cannot reach it. And I'm filming during the day because I don't have great lighting in this cabin. So on a day where it's pretty bright, it makes for some good natural light. So I'll try to cover this up as much as I can remember so that it's not bothering you, and we'll work with the glare. Great. Okay. Now let's get on to the pages. So let's start with the color by number that I did this month. I don't do a lot of color by numbers. I have very few color by number books. I am interested in the hatchet ones, and I think I watched a video recently. And I will, anybody that I don't remember the names or if a video I refer to, I will put down in the comments. But there were some great explanations by a couple of different YouTubers on what the hatchet color by number books are all about if you're just breaking into them. And so I'm using those as a guide. So maybe one of these days you'll see one of those. But mostly I don't care for the numbers showing through of the color by numbers, although I very much appreciate the non-thinking meditative state that one gets into when doing a color by number. So, but these 2 are 2 that I do care for. I like Eclipse's books. I think they're interesting and fun. I do like them on the, I'm going to put a book here to cover that glare. I do like them on the premium paper rather than the newspapery-like paper. I've heard, see how shiny that is? I like the way they look when they're done. They look very bright and beautiful and shiny. So I have heard from a couple of YouTubers that like the other paper better because they like the way that looks. Now, this is one I did last year. I brought this book out to show you that this is not my favorite circulism book, unfortunately, because and another YouTuber mentioned this, all of the, I just turned my light off. I think it might be actually look better that way. All of the pictures are oriented up and to the left, which is, I don't know why. and also pretty boring. So this book, which is so unlike the other books, is so repetitive that I just don't find myself reaching for this one. Although this picture I do want to do, this anglerfish. And plus, you know, some of the colors are pink, violet, orange. It'll be fun to see what this one looks like. But they're just all the exact same, you know, picture, but just different shaped fishes. So after doing this one, I just really haven't picked it up again. So that's, you know, Circulism Kala. But Circulism Asili Zuru, let's turn that light back on. There we go. Is actually one I enjoy very much. And I don't know about you, but when I do a picture in a book, I remember what I was doing when I was doing the picture. So this was one I did in December on the first retreat. It was a fun friend gaming retreat where we did a lot of board games and such. And it's the first one I'd been to since COVID came about. I've had COVID twice now, and it has resulted in some permanent long-term issues that I'm dealing with. And so I haven't been physically able or mentally able to be around lots of people like that in an enclosed environment. But we took it very safe. We all made sure we were vaccinated, and we did tests while we were there, and it turned out to be a very safe, wonderful experience. And because of that joy that I felt, when I did this picture, I felt that joy. So now every time I look at this picture, it reminds me of that wonderful weekend with my friends. And it's also the cover, as you'll see. And I tend to like to do these color by number books in order. So it was the first one. But I think I was also influenced, the colors I chose, although I do follow the instructions here, and I did the dark blue and the blue, but the tones I picked really reflected where I was at the moment, which was the Oregon coastline. And I love this picture for the memories. I don't know if that is the same with you, that when you look at a picture that you've colored, you remember the memory of where you were when you colored it. So looking through this is almost like looking through a picture book, but in my mind, it's lovely. I remember all those images. This one I did also at the same time. I use Sharpies in this book. It makes it really easy. I think this one though I tried Crayola Super Tips, which I'm still learning to work with in a way that I like. But I used a Sharpie silver pen, a silver one, that around the side, and it is opaque, and I really liked that, but I liked the shine that the silver gave off. This is one I also did at the beach, which might be why it looks like the camel is walking along the ocean. I chose ocean colors, and I just find it fascinating that our subconscious comes in when we're coloring and influences the colors we choose, and the mood we're in at the time we color influences the colors we choose and the experience we have. So these are all very restful pictures for me to look at, not because it's a camel, but because of the memory it invokes when I look at it. This is one I did later. I was not at the beach. These bright colors, it was a very dark gray day. It was Christmas time, and it wanted greens and yellows, and the local football team, who I'm a big fan of, the local university, has bright green and bright yellow as their colors. And so this reminds me of them. This is like football deer to me, and it cracks me up every time I look at it. And I love it that our pictures can also invoke these new emotions. So it's not just I don't exactly remember where I was when I did this picture, but looking at it reminds me of my favorite football team, and it makes me laugh. And so I think that's another great result of an effect of what we do here in ColorTube and in our lives. So many of us are in our homes by choice. We laugh, we call ourselves hermits. I live a very hermit life, and finding joy in the little things is really pleasurable. It makes for a great life. Now, this is the one I did do. This is the last one I've done in here, and this one I did in January, and I really don't like it. It was so boring. It only had like 9 colors, and one of them is black. So I was like, what? I was not inspired. I picked an ugly green to my eyes. Interesting that we all see colors differently, but to me that's because color really isn't, it doesn't really exist. It's light bouncing off of something and then how that's interpreted in your eyes. And for me, I interpret these greens as boring and ugly. I don't know what kind of dog that is. And his like weird mouth freaks me out, and I'm just not into this picture. But this is another example of something that evokes emotion, right? It's like, yeah, I don't need to look at that. This one, I wonder. I either did this one in January or February. This was the most recent one. It might have been February. I love this. This reminds me of like little bubbles around the happy elephant. And even though there was a lot of different browns, one thing about color by numbers I've noticed is you need a lot of browns. And I don't have a lot of browns in. That's why you'll see warm browns and cool browns and neutral browns, because that's pretty much all the browns I have in my Sharpies. But I got to use one of my favorite blues, and I really like it in contrast with these colors. So that was really fun. So this is Eclipse A.J. Quinnell's Circulism books. I do recommend them. I personally pay the extra couple bucks to get the premium paper and the shiny paper. They are a bit expensive, though. So that's a little bit daunting. They're a little bit more than I think they need to be for a thin little book like this, but they are so much fun. All right, let's move on to more completed pages. Okay, moving on. While I was switching books out, and it's changing the lighting a bit because it is starting to pour out there. We're supposed to get some more snow today. I know the light might have shifted a bit, but hopefully this is going to work out for us. I looked up the video that I have been studying on YouTube, and it's by Michaela Renee, and it's the Beginner's Guide to the Disney Color by Numbers. So let me look it up again. If you were to go onto YouTube and search for Disney Hatchet Heroes Color by Number by Michaela Renee, you would be able to watch that video. And it's a total introduction to all of those Hatchet Heroes Disney color by numbers. And for your skill level or what level of intricacy you are wanting, she does a great job breaking the entire series down. So that one is a saved video in my playlist. So moving on to something else that I did that was new to me is I did a palette challenge. Now, Amanda Colors on YouTube and on Instagram does a palette challenge, and I thought I'd break into this book with that. Now, this book is Mid-Century Modern Mania by Jen Ski. I think it's Ski. She's on Instagram as well, and it is a fabulous book. It is published in 2014, but you can still find it. There she is. She's in New Hampshire, clear on the other side of the United States from me. This paper is wonderful. I'm a sucker for really good paper, and this is phenomenal paper. You can do anything on this, and because it's one-sided, you can even do alcohol markers. So I like using alcohol markers as a base with pencils on top, or watercolor paints with or without pencils on top, or gouache I love a lot. I rarely do a picture that's all pencil because that's hard on my hands. But these pictures are so much fun. There is some of these wallpaper stuff, and they're not my favorite. I like the scenes much better. This one, I was really torn. I knew when I saw her palette, and I'll put an image of the palette up here, that it lended itself to a mid-century modern look. So I really wanted to do something. And these are straight out of my childhood. I mean, we had this clock. It was brass and wood, and, you know, we had all this stuff. My folks weren't modern like this. In Oregon, this wasn't catching on like it does in California. But I have a credenza, oh, this is a wood stove. We had this kind of a thing. We had, you know, brick walls. That was our radio. Those are my mom's glasses. You know, this is something growing up with. I don't understand this one. Or this one. I figure these bowl pages are just going to be experimenting with mediums because I don't really have any desire to color those. But you move on. I actually had and currently have a credenza just like this. I absolutely love it. It's like 7 feet long and weighs as much as an elephant. And I've taken it and moved it with me everywhere. It's the one piece of furniture that stays with me. I just love it. So yeah, this is a wonderful book. It just brings back a lot of memories. Yeah, see, more wallpaper pages. These are the pages I'm not crazy about, but the pages of the scenes are so exciting for me that I don't mind these as well. I probably won't color them. I am kind of excited about this one, believe it or not. But these with the, you know, we had a wall thing like this. It was, again, wood and metal. Metal and wood were big back then. Dark wood. Everything would have been dark, right? So these clocks brings back a lot of memories. I love this couch. So I chose, the picture I chose to take out. Now this book is perforated and I chose to take it out because I chose a medium that I had never used before. I chose acrylic paint and I wasn't really sure how to use it. So these are pretty much, I just used the colors from the palette with taking liberty with making, you know, putting a gold. This is a Kuretake Kawaii, you know what I'm talking about, Kuretake, the starry colors, and they have all the different types of gold. And there's one gold in that 6-pack. In fact, I have it right here. The starry colors. Here we go, the Kuretake starry colors. There's one gold, and mine fell out last night, so they're all in a wrong order. But this one that you can see the pan on, that is my favorite gold. These are very light. This one I don't care for really at all, but they're shiny. These all are shiny. This one's not very shiny, but these are very shiny. This is a very light one. It's good to use, like, if you want something to lightly shimmer. But this is that true gold, and I wish I could find just that, because when I run out of this, I'm going to have to buy this whole pack again. But it's my favorite gold by far. And that's where this gold is. Now, this picture is really shiny because I use a fixative called Kamar, and I'll bring that out and show that later in the video, on all of my pages. And doing practice runs with this videos, I've learned that perhaps I should not fix them before I film them because they're all shiny like this. So that is a learning lesson. So for March, I will not be spraying fixative on any of my pictures until I've shown them on video. But it does make them permanent. It smells really badly for a while. It takes a few days to really diffuse from the page. I can't smell it now, but I did for a while. This is all acrylic paint, except for the watercolor Kuretake gold there. And then I went back over this wallpaper with a gold pen. And the background is a combination of distressed inks. I wanted distressed oxide inks. I wanted to make it green, but it was too green. So then I went back over it with kind of a yellowish color, and it made it kind of this, kind of a like an older wallpaper. Like you can see it's bright green around the edges, like this piece of furniture has been there for a while. And I kind of really like that. This was definitely a learning curve, not my style usually. But it was fun. It was really fun to practice with this. I've gotten better with acrylic since this picture. And so, but this was my launching off point. It was also my very first color along palette challenge. And my very first color along period. And since then, I've broken into it. I still haven't broken into the buddy coloring, and I am open for buddy coloring. So if you see a book that I'm doing that you are interested in, that you would like to color with me, or just want to message me and ask if I have a certain book that you'd like to color in, I do have about 100 books. I've told myself as a Buddhist nun that that's enough. I think that's probably in most Buddhist monastic circles, that's way too much. but I keep it under 100. So I don't have all of the ones that you guys have, but I have a lot of the most popular ones. So anyway, so that's my picture number 2 that I did in this wonderful book, Mid-Century Modern Mania, which I absolutely recommend. All right, moving on again. I wanted to show you Kamar. This is, that's probably not right, the pronunciation. Maybe it's Kamar. I've heard people say Kamar on YouTube. This is a non-yellowing protection for oil, acrylic, and watercolor. And I have found that it works really great for fixing pages. You just have to do, I get impatient and I just want to spray it all once and then let it dry and be done. I have found that can be too heavy of a spray, and it can re-wet already dried wet mediums and can kind of make them look different. So, and it can also darken your page, which it can actually make your page brighter and stand out too. But it can change it if you put it on too heavy. So lightly misty sprays, let it dry a little bit, lightly misty spray again. I do like 3 passes with about 10 minutes between, and then I leave the book open overnight. Now, doing it outside is tricky. We don't have non-raining weather for 9 months of the year, so I can't do that. And then in the summer, it's hot and there's bugs, and I'm afraid they'll get stuck to it. So I actually do it in my laundry room because that's pretty poorly insulated around the door and stuff. There's enough ventilation in there. Sometimes I'll leave the door open if it's a decent day, but then I leave it in the laundry room overnight. The next day it's dry, totally dry. You can still smell it, and it takes a couple days to stop being. Now, if you close the book up and put the book away, the smell may stay for a while. So I usually just leave the book open. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but it definitely is worth it to protect these pieces of artwork that I've worked so hard on and keep them from yellowing. Okay, so we're moving on to this little gem. I had to change the lighting again, so but the rain has stopped. So we'll try to keep the glare down to a minimum. This is, not, as you all know, Nice Little Town by Tatiana Bogema-Stolova. And I have several of her books, but by far, this is my favorite. I don't know what it is about this book. I think it has something to do with it's the combination it has of detail and cute factor. I'm not a fan of pictures with big open space because especially on this, kind of crummy paper, which to be honest, it's better than Coco Wyo, which I like Coco Wyo books. I use my alcohol markers. I understand how the colors change now that I've done them quite a bit. I know how my alcohol markers react to that paper, and if I put down this bright yellow, it's going to be a different shade of yellow. And now they've gotten used to it, I really enjoy it because they're fast, easy, fun coloring. This paper is one step up from that. It's more of a premium paper. You can do more with it, I have found. And it's very enjoyable, but it's her Halloween book. I do have her Christmas book and a couple of her Nice Little Town books, but the amount of detail on these pages are just perfect for me. They're right in the middle of the groove of what I like. They aren't so intricate that it's going to take me days, but yet they're intricate enough to not waste my mediums, if you know what I'm saying. If there's big open spaces, I'm not going to want to put alcohol marker on that and use up all my expensive alcohol markers on some big non-detailed entity in the picture. And they're just adorable. And finding yourself going into the picture and discovering all the little things that aren't so little that makes them difficult to color, especially with alcohol marker. It's hard to get details with alcohol markers. I just find these pictures just so much fun. And I find myself going back to this book again and again and again, even when it's not Halloween. Because, nice trick-or-treating in costumes. Tatiana, oh my gosh. How can you be so dang cute? Look how cute these guys are. Her imagination is I would love to like have a slumber party with her, wouldn't you? And you could, you know, make hot cocoa and do each other's nails, and then talk about, you know, watch her draw a picture, see how her imagination, how did she come up with these things? They're just brilliant. So starting at the beginning of this book, when I first got this book, it was September, and I was very sick again. And so and at the same time, I had just purchased Tim Holtz's watercolor pencils. Now, I absolutely love those things. I think they are ingenious. I also think they're not a pencil, and they're poorly named, because I see color tubists getting frustrated with them because they're treating them like a colored pencil, and you really can't. I mean, there are 3 or 4 different ways to use them. Tim Holtz has a very long and drawn out video on that, but it's very informative. But rubbing them on the paper and then putting water to them or trying to work with them is probably the least effective. And that's what we're used to doing with colored pencils, with watercolor pencils. So it's a learning curve, kind of like it's a learning curve between if you've been used to Prisma coloring pencils and you go to polychromos. So it's a very different, what I have found is you can also rub it on over here on another mat or something rough, and then put water to it, and that works. I found I didn't get as much pigment that way. But if you think of these watercolor pencils as, and I will pull them out and show them later in the video, if you think of them as pigment sticks, and I have found the best way to do it is to just dip the tip in water so that the tip of the pigment stick is wet, and then take your paintbrush from that. And I have done some really intricate pictures and really successful pictures in my mind using that method. And I absolutely love them. So think of it as having like paint on a stick, because that's kind of what it is. And use them that way. And I encourage you to try them on different papers, different mediums. They are not cheap. So if you have other things you like, yeah, there's no reason to buy these. But there really is no other medium out there in the market quite like them. So anyway, so if we start at the beginning, so it was September, go back to my story, and I was sick again, and I also had a brand new medium. Now, I have learned not to combine those things. If I'm not feeling well, don't start coloring something with a brand new medium I don't know how to use. So this is what I did, and it's kind of a train wreck. This is the watercolor pencil of Tim Holtz, and I really, really love it. Like, I love that effect. And so then I thought, well, I'll do that all over. But when I started working with it, it wasn't really going to work with the rest of the picture with what I had in mind. I don't know. I actually don't know what I really was thinking, because I was just so sick. And I decided I wanted to make him shine, and so I did his face, this weird neon thing, and that's weird. And then I was watching videos, and someone gave a very good color theory suggestion that if you do colors on one side of the page, do them on the other, or if you do them under, do them above, and sort of make the page flow. So I'm like, great. So I got out some alcohol markers, and I started doing the houses, and I started making them balanced. But then I realized I made them balanced with colors that are nowhere else on the page. I mean, it's just nothing. They're not, am I going to do purples? Am I going to do burgundies? Like, nothing was going together. And then to top it all off, and then I started doing some, silver gel pens to make them really shiny. And then to top it all off, I was like, okay, I obviously am sick. I don't know how to do lights, so I'm just going to put some yellow alcohol marker. I'll take some Distress Oxide ink in the color Soot Black and put it on the back, kind of rub it on the back roughly, and then spray water on it, and that should fix everything, right? But I grabbed the Distress ink, not the Distress Oxide ink, because I was sick again, and it doesn't react to water, and it's really dark. So here's this very, very strange picture. But again, our coloring evokes moods, and what we do with our craft and with our hands, we remember where we were. And so I look back at this, and I have empathy for that sick lady who was just trying to get through the day, and coloring was bringing her some solace. And so even though it doesn't make sense, it helped me out when I was having a rough time. So I'm grateful to this picture. But then I got better. I recovered from my illness, and I decided to do this book in order. And I did this one. And so this would have been like in October. And I really like this one. Again, I don't really know what to do with lights, so I just sort of make yellow blobs around them. But this is alcohol marker again, and some bright shiny metallic gel pens. And then the background is some chalk pastels that I have, and I had never used them before. And I really like how that turned out. I just used a blender brush like this. Not this one though, this one's huge, and I don't think I've ever used it. Oh yeah, I have used it for one picture, but just, you know, a smaller brush, and went around like that. And then the rest is alcohol markers, and my alcohol markers are Copics, which are my favorite. Well, they were my favorite. Let's say I love my Copics. I have a love-hate relationship with them. A, they're expensive to maintain, to refill and such, but B, they also mine leak sometimes. And I don't know if you've had problems with that. I don't know if, I don't see any leakage that happened here. Oh yeah, right there. There's some purple on her mouth where the purple pen that I was doing the pillow leaked. And that's so frustrating. So I don't know why. I store them on their side. It could have something to do with the temperature fluctuation in my cabin. But the others I have are Spectrum Noirs, and I absolutely love them. They are juicy, and they don't seem to run out. I've had them forever, and they never leak, but they don't have a brush nib. I think they do, but you have to purchase the brush nibs and then replace them in all your pens, and I'm just not going to go to that expense. So that's this one, and I really like it. I find it happy. I mean, Tatiana, really? Like, they're still in their Halloween costumes. They just got back with all their candy. They're eating their candy in bed, and they're telling stories. I mean, Freddy Krueger mouse. I mean, this is like, you just can't get any cuter than this. And we've all been there, right? High on candy, staying up all night. Yeah, it's fantastic. And even the ghosts, which, you know, look like they're trying their best to be scary, are not. They're just cute. This is an adorable book. The next page I did on this one, and this one has many finished pages because it is my favorite book. Now, I have a lot of, you know, really highbrow, expensive, delightful paper books, but for some reason, and some of them are my favorite as well. Kirby Rosanes, the Mythic World book he's got is another favorite of mine. But coloring these pages make me extremely happy. And I just get into I find myself smiling while I'm coloring them. This one, I had just gotten a set of cheapo metallic gel pens off of Amazon. And so I just kind of glitterified everything. And I think you can see that a bit. Again, I don't know what to do with lights yet in my coloring journey. So it's just yellow blobs. I tried to experiment a little bit. I didn't know what I was doing. So I just put glitter over it. I really love the monster. I was having fun. Again, no pencils. This is just alcohol markers. So any shading that's done is done with alcohol markers. I just don't find it worthwhile to use my hand bandwidth using pencils on these pages. I know a lot of people do make gorgeous pages, but that's not what this book is for me. This book is just for using my alcohol markers that flow, that are light, that don't cause pain to my hands, and that I can just really enjoy. And maybe that's why I like this book. But I think it's also the book itself. I think it's the subject matter, and I think it's the amount of detail. She's just got the perfect amount for me in this book. Now, this one was the first one I tried to make that was Twilight-ish. I don't know if I achieved it. The house, because I was thinking she's just going out to go trick-or-treating, right? And her mom in the background is just smiling, watching her go. And she's got her costume on. The color of this is actually an alcohol marker. There's actually a gray that light, and it's a little too light. But once it dried, because again, this is the cheapo paper, it dries a different color than it goes on. I didn't want to be bothered to go back over it again. I just didn't want to use the alcohol marker space on that. So I did start using the Sakura Glaze Black for the eyes to make them, you know, glow. And then lots of glitter on her hair. Again, glitter gel pens from Amazon. I really visioned her hair as a blue rainbow, but I don't think I got the greens I really wanted. I was just having more fun up in here. I did start using a white paint pen, and that looks like also a Sakura Glaze pen. Yeah, just lots of fun. Look at that. The pumpkin has a leaf for a tongue. I mean, she's just so imaginative. Okay, this one I wanted to do at a little past twilight. So it's not so dark, but the stars have come out. And this one is also alcohol marker. Now, I still don't know what I'm doing with lights, so they're blobs, but I started experimenting with like maybe the lights glowing out towards the frame of the window a bit so you can see that. And that's just a different colored Copic marker. I mean, it's nothing fancy. I'm having fun with mixing colors with the monster and just really enjoyed this one. I discovered this blue is a Spectrum Noir blue that once I discovered it, I think I ended up using it in lots of pictures. This is a blue I really like. It's like there is a moon out somewhere and it's shining on the sky and making it, you know, I just really like that. And this is the first time I've ever tried to do glass. And basically it consisted of just a white Sakura marker, just boop, 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 you know, and then we're calling that good. I whited out the lines, and that's as far as I got as making glass, but I think it gives the idea that it's glass. Again, this is really early on, and we're not even into 2023 yet here, so I'm still playing. Oh, I just don't know where she gets her ideas. I mean, she's so talented, and her books from here on out are pretty much an auto buy for me. I have to be careful because I do have that 100 book cap, but I did destatch a little bit recently. So this one was almost a day picture. Now I thought, oh, I'm going to make a bright sort of day picture. And this one was a lot of fun, but I tried something different. I had been watching more videos, and I saw a lot of you would white out the line work, and then so it sort of disappeared. And I thought I would do that with these stones, and I do like the effect it gave. I tried going over some of these line works with a glitter pen, and that's okay. I do like the glittery spider. He's cute. I'm playing more with the white Sakura pen to get the mushrooms on there. Kind of starting to evolve a little bit with my light. Like maybe it's not just a blob, but I also kind of didn't do anything with it. The leaves are enjoyable. Now, the neat thing about these pictures is sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, but you'll be color along and you'll be like, I don't really know what this is. And then it'll just come to you, maybe after you've already colored it, like, oh, that's a mouth on that door. I don't know why I picked these colors. I didn't realize it was a mouth until I'd colored it, but I still, even so, I don't know why I chose those weird colors. But, and then the snail who I was trying to figure out, is this this thing wrapped around him, is it an apron? And then I realized it's like teeth that he's cut out of fabric and wrapped around his face. I think that's what it is for a costume. Oh my gosh, adorable. All right. The next one I did, and this was again would have been in December. It would have been around Halloween, like November, December of last year, because I just kept coloring in it. This is No More Monkeys Jumping on the Bed picture, because they've brought out a mattress and they're all getting up on the roof and jumping off because they're superheroes. And Mommy's mad. She's cut her spoon and she's yelling. And check out Spidey Mouse. I mean, that was my favorite part of this picture. And here again, I'm not really doing much with light. I tried some things. I had a lot of fun looking up costumes and trying to make them as accurate as possible. Little monster. But here I did a couple of different things as well. One, I started shading more with my Copics. So you'll see, I think, along the mattress here, I started using different colors to start shading and not be so flat. I did something with the windows that I love, and I wish I could remember what I did. I wanted to make them so that you couldn't really see in them. So either they look like, you know, light shining off of them so you can't see through, or perhaps they're dingy and they're too dirty to see through. And I think looking at them, it looks like, I don't think that's the paper. I think I had some kind of white or gray marker, a light gray marker. And then I went with a dark gray marker around the frames, and then the white Jelly Roll pen over that, I think. I really like it though. It gives the effect that I wanted, that you can't really look into that. And then I don't know what I was thinking about the bones. I don't know why I chose pink and green. I don't have those colors elsewhere, really. And bones aren't pink and green. I don't know. And then again, happy ghosts. I mean, it's just so much fun. And didn't we all have, well, if you're of my age in the 50s, you know, if you're in the 50s age-wise, you know about jelly molds or Jell-O molds. My gosh, we ate so much Jell-O. Okay, this was a picture. And when I saw these ghosts here, they just, to me, look like they're at a rave. Like, this is a party house. Like, they've all, you know, they've got their, I don't know what they're doing, but they've got their DJ and their lights and their music, and this is the rave house. And here's a bright purple pumpkin advertising to everybody that there's a party going on. So these ghosts are dancing. They got their hands in the air like they just don't care. And so what I did here was I used various Copic markers to, and I think mostly the Spectrum Noirs because of these bright colors. And I just made every window look like there was a party going on inside. I made a disco ball out of just a silver glitter pen and took the black glaze pen and just went blob, blob, blob for the chain. And yeah, this was just a really fun rainbow rave house is what I wanted to make it. I think I might have even started with these shutters. Not shutters, these, you know, awnings. And was like, I'm going to make a rainbow house. But the ghosts kept calling to me and saying, yeah, rainbow girl, but we are dancing. We are partying down in here. So I made a party. I tried to make an opaque door that was as cool as the windows I'd made earlier, but I had done all this and I couldn't really be bothered to do much more with that door. But everything else. And then I did something again. I tried to do something different with every one of these pages because these books are great for experimenting. You can do almost anything with them. And in the background, I wanted it kind of sparkly all over, but I wanted the stars to be more random than I trusted myself to be able to do manually. So I coated it with a layer of glitter nail polish. Now I have a ton of nail polish. And every time I go to destash it, it has some, I just haven't done it. Either laziness or nostalgia because I used to wear nails and I don't anymore. And so I have this nail polish and it just seems like such a waste to just get rid of it. Well, you can use it on your pictures. So I've had fun going through the house looking for things that I use for other crafts or in other ways that can be brought to a page. And these Tatiana books are great for those types of experimenting. And I like it. I love them because it's a clear polish that has multicolored glitter suspended in it. And so the different colors of glitter make for the kind of the look I was going for. And I put washi tape around the edges of these because I'm not very neat around the edges. Now this one edge I actually painted and I like that better. I'm gonna, because I was running out of washi tape. Now this is the one that I did for January. This one I did something completely different and I'm not crazy about it. And I decided that I think I needed just some more of a meditative experience. So I decided I would white out all the lines. And I did so. And in some cases, I love it. Like up here where it looks like, and then I used a lighter green to go over it. It's almost like there's moonlight on the bush, shining out the bush, which is cool. I love it with the ghosts. The ghosts came out exactly as I wanted. I wanted them to glow and to step off the page. I wanted them to be pastel and nothing else to be pastel. So I really wanted them to look like they were bringing the birthday party. But I don't like what it did to this pumpkin lion creature. I like his tails. I wanted his tails to match the ghosts, and I think they came out exactly what was in my mind. But his body and his face, it just lost some of the details. So everything that I learned from this page is if I want something to glow, it works really well. White out the lines, put a lighter color over it than the rest of the body of the creature, and then it looks like they're glowing. And I use that technique elsewhere after doing this picture. But when something doesn't need to glow and I just want it to have detail, it's not as effective. I like it for the hair, but I wish I would have left more detail in his body because it's hard to tell what's going on there. And then all of this just became mush, partly because the technique didn't work down here where it was darker, partly because I intentionally made it darker and to let the creature pop out. And so I chose a lot of muddy colors, and partly because I spent so much time on this trying to figure out how to make it look like what I wanted and like what was going on in my head, that I got bored and just sort of ignored this part. So this was another learning curve. He's got a bubble pipe, so I had fun with bubbles. And I played with making my own stars. So again, I don't know what I'm doing with light sources, but, and it looks like I also used some acrylic paint pens. I started experimenting with those. I found some old ones in my stash, and I've brought them out to do a few things. But, you know, it's okay. I like what the technique did here, and I now use it for very specific reasons. And that is the end of my colored pages for Nice Little Town Halloween. Again, this is a book that when I'm feeling anxious or just happy and just want to do something, any emotion at all this book will bring out joy in me, and it's comforting and it makes me smile, and it does all the things that, for me, adult coloring, well, the reason I do it. So when this book is done, I don't do pictures twice, so I won't buy it again, but I will be sad, maybe, because it is such a fun book. I do have her Christmas book, and I was going to bust into it around Christmas time, but it doesn't call to me like this one does. There's a lot of wide open spaces and a lot of snow, but hopefully we'll get to that soon. All right, on to my last book and the picture that took the entire month. And here we are. Now, this is the last page that I have to show you for January 2023's finished colored pages. And it's Kirby Rosanes, who is one of, well, I think he is probably my favorite artist. I have quite a few of his books, but I had not cracked open Worlds Within Worlds, and I don't know why. I think once I started working in Mythic World, I couldn't stop. So this one it does have the, you know, the little annoying things that you're supposed to find. Actually, no, this is the one where the picture before has a clue in it that doesn't go along with this picture that indicates the next picture, right? I don't know. It's not a game I play, but I mean, here you have, and I've seen so many of you do so many of these pictures. I mean, I can, looking at these pictures, I see images, I see colored, yeah, I see them in my head the way I've seen them on YouTube, and it's so much fun. It gives me such a sense of connection with all of you and a feeling of community, even though I'm here in a cabin in the Oregon wilderness by myself. I'm like, yes, I've seen someone do that. And I don't remember names very well, especially post all my issues with COVID, but I do remember the colored pictures, and that makes me very happy. And it also challenges me to either, if I really liked it, try to copy it to see if there's some, I can figure out the technique that was done, or to try to do something totally different. Boy, have we all seen this picture a lot. Just every single one of these I've seen, because this book's been out for a little bit, and that brings me a lot of joy. Because flipping through it, I don't just see the black and white picture. I actually, in my mind, see them in color. This one I've seen so many wonderful renditions of. And this one, oh my goodness. This is one that I've always wanted to tackle, and I've been too afraid to. I don't really... I've seen so many great versions of this. And I think I've heard Coloring with Elena and Coloring with Kay both saying that, you know, when you see something that's been done elsewhere, sometimes it's hard to, or intimidating to do it yourself. But, you know, this is how we learn, and we all try. And the world of ColorTube is so friendly and caring, and nobody ever says anything mean. And, you know, you could use whatever you want on these pages, and you're going to be your own worst critic, right? There's nobody on this planet who deserves more love and support than you yourself. And you are worthy, and you are deserving of feeling good about what you do and what you put down on a page and what you try and attempt. And there's no failure with this. Again, color is all subjective. It's all in the eye of the person looking at it. And as long as the process brought you joy, then everything, it's a win, right? It doesn't matter how the end result looks. That being said, here is the reason that I only got 4 pages done this month. At the beginning of the month, I decided I had so much fun with the color palette challenge. It's like, what other hashtags are there out there? And so I didn't know how to look for them. So it took a while to find them. And then I figured out how to look for them. And I found, Happiness Colors Kirby. Her channel is great. All she does is Kirby. She just loves Kirby. And she has a hashtag every month of a specific prompt. And this one was metals. And I'm like, I'm going to do this hashtag. So I went through all my Kirby books looking for metals, and I decided that this compass must be metal, and I will do this compass. But I wanted to have so much control over the page, and these details are so fine, that not only was I going to try metal for the first time, I was going to do it all in colored pencil. No basing whatsoever. Oh, wow. I don't think I'll ever do that again, but I love the result. Now, did I achieve my goal of metals? Well, I can tell you that I think I did a fantastic job of making this compass look like it's made out of bamboo. I mean, some kind of wood. Look at that moon. It's straight up carved out of a piece of wood. I think these look like they could be pewter or tarnished silver. I think they work. And maybe this does. I don't know. I asked my mom, I said, Mom, do you think, does this look like metal to you? And my sweet 75-year-old mother, who, you know, always would pin my pictures up on the refrigerator, was like, yeah. So I have a bamboo compass, but I did submit it for the metals challenge, and it was wonderful to see my picture in a video along with a bunch of other folks. It was just a really proud moment and exciting, and I'm so glad that that Ness at Happiness Colors Kirby hosts these challenges, and I participate in them every month now. Plus, it got me into a book that I hadn't even opened. Well, I had opened it. I just hadn't put your color to page. Now, talking about the page itself, all this is largely Black Widows. Polychromos are my favorite pencils, but when I want something bright, I go to the Black Widows or my Speer Farben, and I really like those. Those are a step up from the Black Widows, but they're still quite affordable. I've never invested in Prismas. I think they're just so expensive, and I'm a little heavy-handed, and except with my polychromos, because you can't be with those. And I just think I would get frustrated with the fact that it doesn't keep a point, and that I don't know, I would probably never use them. They would become precious to me because they're expensive and I wouldn't want to use them. And I'm fine with the Black Widows and the Spirifarbens especially. But the Black Widows have these bright colors, and so that's what I wanted. I wanted everything in here to glow. So I took what I had learned from that Halloween Tatiana Bogema-Stilova picture, and I didn't white out the lines, but I did use a light color to go around the lines. And because of that experience with that picture, I think I accomplished making these animals look like they were glowing. Now, I didn't want to make a picture of space monsters. What I wanted these more to look like was like this was before life began. Like, this is the beginning of life. This is the primordial ooze. And there's all these little, like, you know, these are evolving creatures that are just, you know, that sort of a thing. So I also experimented with using a limited color palette. Now, it's a bright limited color palette, but if you look closely, all the animals are basically the same 4 colors. I used a brighter purple. I used this bright green, lime green looking thing. I used orange and red, and there isn't really anything else in the monsters, in the animals here. I've seen these colored differently. I made them like they were not so much shooting stars, but more of this alive stuff that's in the ether that's out there. And I wanted this to look like it was really, really deep space. So this is deep space. Again, this is fixed with Kamar, so it's shiny, and that's why I'm moving it around to try to keep that glare to a minimum. And also to show you the different aspects of it. Now the background is, again, pencils, and I just used dark blue, a bright blue, a violet purple color, and black. And tried to do, this is my first attempt making a galaxy. I then also, at the end, I went around with my white Sakura jelly marker and made some, these stars were there sort of, but I had gone over them, so I put them back in. And then you might see gold blobs, shimmery gold blobs. That's a nail polish again. That's a glitter gold nail polish. And I just put blobs just to give a little bit of shine here and there, because space should be a little sparkly, but I didn't know where to put any sparkle. I didn't really want the animals to sparkle. I wanted them to glow. So these alien life forms, which put me in the mood of Kirby's new book. Aren't we all excited about it? Oh, I still have a month to wait, but his Alien Worlds book, I can't wait. I've pre-ordered it. It's just sitting there waiting to be shipped to me. But yeah, this is my bamboo compass. Now, what's funny is I did another picture months ago in a Kirby book where I took a bamboo hat and tried to make it look like bamboo, and I made it look like metal. So somewhere along the line, I got my wires crossed. And then the background here was white, and I didn't want to leave it white, but I also didn't want to do anything more to it because this is so busy. Oh my gosh. So what I did was I just used a black acrylic paint. Now, this paint is Apple Barrel, and I've been using, I mostly have folk art, just whatever's cheap, but I didn't realize there was a difference. But wow, this paint, I mean, I could have probably put it on with my fingers and it still wouldn't have had streaks. It is so forgiving. It just blends nicely. It finishes a matte finish. It might be shiny from the fixative, but it is matte, and it's so inky and dark and non-streaky. I think I now want to use it everywhere. So might see black backgrounds more often. Anyway, so this is my picture that took an entire month to do. It was a labor of love. It's my favorite so far of the year, of course, and probably, a technique I won't do again. But again, I look at it, and I'm so proud of myself for sticking through it and finishing it and working in all these, I have memories of working each one of these monsters and coming up with how I wanted them to look. And it was really, really fun. And how can you not have fun doing Kirby's pictures? They're just brilliant. Love you, Kirby. Now, Kirby's taken a break. I originally had heard that he was no longer going to create coloring books, and I about had a heart attack. But then I was told that, no, he's just on a break. So let's hope. And that's the end of my January 2023 finished coloring pages video and the end of my very first video on my very first YouTube channel. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching to the end. I really appreciate it. Connecting with all of you is why I do this. And yeah, have a great day.